Hi, welcome. I'm so excited to be watching the chat and seeing so many people from all over the world joining us. You're coming in really fast, and we've had over 1,000 people sign up for the webinar. So I'm going to give it just another minute, and then I'll go ahead and get started. Just as a reminder, we are going to record this. So if you come in late or your colleagues are coming in late, no worries. We'll make sure that everyone gets a chance to have the whole webinar. So welcome, and thank you for joining. I'm Susan Mag-Salmon, and I'm the director of the International Arts and Mind Lab Center for Applied Neuroaesthetics at Johns Hopkins. And I'm also the co-director of the Neuroarts Blueprint Initiative with my colleague, Ruth Katz. Now we are actually beginning our 5th year, and the Blueprint has been a really wonderful partnership between Johns Hopkins Medicine and the Aspen Institute. And for me, it is so wonderful to be with so many of you today. I hope that everyone is doing goodish as we navigate these new and uncertain realities. But today, we're gathered to celebrate the launch of the Neuroarts Resource Center and to share a bit more about the platform with you. I'd like to offer a very special thanks to the Badari Collective, who has generously funded the development of the Resource Center, which is totally free for users. And that's really important. Anyone, anywhere, anytime can come on the Resource Center and really make it their own. So in just 3 weeks since we've launched, we have almost 900 user profiles with thousands of site visits, page views, and content uploads. And by far, this launch has exceeded our expectations and any projections that we ever had. And I think this really speaks to the need for us to come together and the sense that there's a real opportunity to share what we're doing, to find what we're looking for, and to also really have an opportunity to go deeper in dialogue together as we build on all of this work together. As I said, we've had well over 1,000 people sign up for the webinar, and we believe that this is because you have done such an amazing job of joining the Resource Center, of launching the information on your social media, on your newsletters, and other communication tools. And very much for me, this work has been a rhizome where underground we are making these incredible strong connections, and we're helping to really build a network that's all over the world. And I think perhaps some of the best news is that we're just getting started, and it's a very exciting and I think important time to come together and to build the work that we're doing together. So in a few minutes, Sam Garrett, who is the Neuroarts Resource Center Project Director, is going to give you a tour of the Resource Center and talk a little bit more about some of the features and offerings. And then in the end of the session, we'll offer an opening for a discussion. You may have some questions or some comments that we want to make sure we have an opportunity to talk through. But before we jump in, I want to give you a brief update on what's been happening with the Neuroarts Blueprint Initiative over the last several months. It has been an incredibly productive time, and I'm very excited to share how together we are building something really powerful. And I think it's not only for the current world that we find ourselves in, but even more critical, I think what we've been doing together is building a vibrant and sustainable future. And so the first thing I want to talk about is that the neuroarts field language and definition is now being adopted broadly around the world. Neuroarts is defined as an interdisciplinary field that's rooted in the science of neuroaesthetics and the many ways of knowing that explore how arts and aesthetic experiences change our brains, our bodies, and behavior. And so importantly, how this knowledge can be applied to advance health and well-being. There's also a narrative emerging that incorporates what I call arts and A&D, arts and language. Neuroarts is becoming a broad frame or a nest that holds things like arts in health, arts and public health, arts and learning, arts and architecture, arts and community development, and so much more. And what we're starting to see is that the Neuroarts framework is also incredibly easy for folks outside of our field to understand what is happening. And it's also very important for things like policy adoption and growth and sustainability. So as we pursue the promise of this growing field, this work, I think, has always recognized and honors the accomplishments of the leaders and pioneers that have been working in this space for many, many years. The scientists, the arts practitioners, the artists, ancestral and community knowledge keepers, all who've already deeply engaged in this work and have generated so much new knowledge and practice. So the blueprint is really guided by their knowledge, experience, their wisdom, and also the accomplishments that have happened. The mission of the blueprint is very simple. It's to have the arts and all of them and all of the many forms become part of mainstream medicine, public health, and society at large. And to help us get there, it's imperative that we build evidence to continue to make the case for the value of the arts in advancing health and well-being and society at large. So in December of 2021, we released the Neuroarts Blueprint, Advancing the Science of Arts, Health, and Well-being. And this was an ambitious and very far-reaching plan for cultivating the neuroarts field. As stewards of the field, we have worked to be responsive while implementing on these 5 recommendations. The first is strengthening the research foundation of neuroarts. The second is honoring and supporting the many arts practitioners that promote health and well-being. Third, to expand and enrich educational and career pathways. Fourth, to advocate for sustainable funding and to promote effective policy in multiple sectors. And then the last recommendation was to build capacity, leadership, and communication strategies. And these strategies are for the field, within the field, but also in the greater community to the general public and at large. So what this slide does is give you an overview of the recommendations and the strategies that we're using to really make this work possible. The first strategy is building evidence, second, building infrastructure, and the third, building community. And what you can see here are when we have the recommendations and we have clear strategies, the impact really is the way that we grow and the way that this work really achieves the kind of sustainability that we are really hoping for over the next several years and over the future decades. So if you look at the next slide, what you'll see are the specific initiatives that the strategies represent. And so I want to just briefly walk through a couple of these elements. First, let's talk for a moment about building evidence. I mentioned that building evidence is really important, and there already is a body of evidence, but in any kind of field, continuing to build on the evidence that's come to understand and solve different problems is really essential. So what we really want to do is make optimal use of research and evidence by drawing upon the many ways of knowing. To begin, we have created an incredibly prestigious scientific advisory board that includes many interdisciplinary fields with over 20 experts from around the world who are looking at qualitative and quantitative kinds of research with a goal of building a neuroarts research agenda that's designed to identify new questions in the realm of basic, translational, clinical, and community-based research. Together with the Renee Fleming Foundation, we've established the Renee Fleming Neuroarts Investigator Awards. These awards support innovative and collaborative work in neuroarts conducted by a team of early career investigators and arts practitioners, and they're designed to expand the evidence base. We've announced the first set of awardees in 2024, and we recently announced the second cohort. And I strongly encourage you to go on the Neuroarts Blueprint website to see some of the amazing research that is being done through the Renee Fleming Awards. To build the field of neuroarts, we also need a solid economic data to demonstrate the real costs and benefits of using the arts to improve health and well-being. So in a partnership with AARP, we've commissioned a series of economic analyses to do just that. The first of this series was conducted by KPMG, and it shows the benefits of music engagement with the Alzheimer's population to the overall US economy. And this includes significant increases in GDP, tax revenue, jobs, and labor income. The second report, for the first time, is about the impact of music on the quality of life of people with Alzheimer's disease, their families, and their caregivers. So this new study that was conducted by Deloitte, which is another global consulting firm, will be released on June 3rd. And the findings are incredibly exciting. Together, both the Neuroarts Blueprint Initiative economic analyses present a very clear view of what's called true value. So the true value of using the arts to improve health and well-being. So stay tuned for a webinar announcement on June 3rd from AARP. The second strategy is building infrastructure. So a solid infrastructure supports the dynamic cross-disciplinary partnerships that are absolutely fundamental to a strong field. You're here today to learn about the Neuroarts Resource Center, which is a key element of our infrastructure strategy. But I'd like to point out just two others that we think are also critically important as we continue to move forward in building the field. The first is called the Neuroarts Academic Network. And the Neuroarts Academic Network is a coalition of academic institutions from across the globe that are dedicated to advancing the field of neuroarts through an array of disciplines. We'll be launching this summer with a meeting of a working group of the inaugural members. And the goals of the Neuroarts Academic Network are multiple. The first is to strengthen interdisciplinary research, solidifying training programs, expanding practice across institutions. And secondly, to identify and connect academic programs already working or who are interested in developing new initiatives. And then the third is to build capacity, rigor, and quality programs to create a sustainable neuroarts field. When I think about the academic networks, I think of them as economic drivers and career pathways. So how are we creating these on-ramps for creative arts therapies, for arts and public health, for arts and health and learning and so much more? What are those pathways and how do we ensure that they're strong and they're growing so that we can really build the next generation of practitioners and researchers? The second program is the Community Neuroarts Coalitions, and this is a group that I'm extremely excited about. These groups engage stakeholders at a hyper-local level, and they unite diverse community members across multiple sectors to enhance health and well-being and learning through the use of the arts in many forms. So in 2022, the Neuroarts Blueprint initiated a pilot of 3 CNCs. The first was in Kansas City, the second in New York City, and the third in Palm Beach County. And I'm very excited to announce that this summer, we will add an additional 10 to 12 new CNCs. And we're also developing a series of webinars and tools for technical assistance to foster further expansion of CNCs all over the world. And last is building community. So fostering the connections necessary to develop a diverse, multidisciplinary, and vibrant global community is essential for us to grow and nurture neuroarts. Our newsletter, our expanded social media, presenting at conferences across multiple disciplines has all been really helpful in beginning to coalesce thousands of people that are interested all over the world in this work. And next year, I'm excited to say that we'll be hosting our first global neuroarts convening. But at the heart of all of this, we believe the Neuroarts Resource Center will be one of our strongest tools to build the community that honors your work and connects us to each other. So all of this and more is on the Neuroarts Resource Initiative's website that's posted in the chat. And please, love for you to come and join and learn more about that. But for now, I'd like to turn it over to Sam to tell you a bit more about the Neuroarts Resource Center. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Sam Garrett, and I am the project director for the Neuroarts Resource Center. I'll be giving you a short tour of the NRC today. So, in many of the conversations that informed the Blueprint report, we heard a strong need for a central meeting ground where the many disciplines involved in neuroarts could collaborate and share knowledge. This became the cornerstone of our implementation plan and thus initiated our work on the Neuroarts Resource Center. To this end, we first turned our efforts to building this space by consulting a broad cross-section of stakeholders in our community. We convened an advisory council, held many focus groups, consulted with partners and colleagues all over the world to learn exactly what the neuroarts community needed and wanted from a shared space. Once we created a scope outlining our findings, we worked with a fantastic group of developers in London called Revolve to build it. Work on the platform was completed late last year, and after several months of beta testing, we launched earlier this month on May 5th, and we're very proud to share it with you today. So what is the Neuroarts Resource Center? We heard from these initial discussions that the community needed a centralized resource for up-to-date research, best practices, and clinical findings in neuroarts, a space that created opportunities to connect with a global network of artists, researchers, clinicians, and organizations, and a platform that offered access to funding opportunities and professional development resources tailored specifically to neuroarts practitioners. We built the NRC in service of these needs. The Neuroarts Resource Center is an online platform designed to unite diverse fields, people, and organizations within the neuroarts community. It offers a comprehensive, continually updated collection of neuroarts-related resources, including research, clinical findings, arts practices, funding opportunities, and much, much more. Fully indexed and searchable, the NRC serves as a hub for collaboration and knowledge sharing, enhancing the integration of the arts in health and well-being. So I'll now turn to the site and give you all a short tour. Please feel free to put any questions you might have in the chat, and we'll try to answer them during the Q&A portion of this call. Okay, so here you are seeing the landing page of the Neuroarts Resource Center, designed to help you find what you need, connect with individuals and organizations across the field all in one place. This is what anyone, anywhere will see free of charge when they access the Resource Center for the first time. All of its features are available to non-logged in users, though some of the social elements of the site will be unavailable unless you have an account. The Neuroarts Resource Center is a live resource, meaning that the site consists of user-generated content moderated by our team members and the community. In this sense, we see the Neuroarts Resource Center as more than just a repository and publishing platform. It is a real-time asset mapping tool of a burgeoning field. The site can be thought of really as two parts. The first consists of the 5 main content areas into which we've organized a growing body of neuroarts-related content. These are our content library, a directory of individuals and organizations, professional opportunities, funding opportunities, and events. And the second is how the NRC provides ways to share and connect with the community. So I'll begin to explore this first part by turning to our search, the centralmost feature of the site. Here, I'll type in music, one of the most well-researched areas in this field. So here, we're seeing results in our 5 main category types and something else called the Community Bulletin Board. So we'll return to the Community Bulletin Board in just a moment, but let's start with these 5 main category types. So our library holds a growing collection of research, articles, and media. This is all content related to neuroarts. The directory features profiles of individuals, organizations, and institutions in the field. This is the area that is populated when you yourself create a profile for you or your organization. The Professional Opportunities section compiles career development tools and opportunities. The Events section keeps you updated on in-person and virtual events in the field. And the Funding section highlights public and private opportunities for financial support. So returning to our all view, you'll see there's a few ways to organize this content here by either list view or by grid view, by category or by all. And so these results are organized by a combination of recency and relevance. If you'd like to refine your search by category type, you can simply select one of these top-level categories, like I just demonstrated before. Or if you'd like to do even deeper filtering, you can select the filters sidebar and filter by either our recommended filters or browse our internally curated filter list. This is field and discipline, impact area, community served, role, and location. And if you're not finding what you need, you can search for user-generated custom tags in addition to our own taxonomy. So here I'll add mental health from our taxonomy and see what sort of search results we get. So you'll see that here, all of these results have been filtered to include the tag mental health. As we move towards phase 2 of the Resource Center, we anticipate even more filters and deeper granularity. We predict that as we add more users and more content to the site, these filters will be greatly useful. And for those interested, at this stage, the logic for this filter system is an OR logic, not an AND logic. We anticipate that we'll switch over to an AND logic once we have more content on the site. So this gives you a preview of how we might search the site, but let's take a look at how we might explore or browse. Now, turning our attention to the toolbar up here, by clicking and selecting any of our main content types, you can now explore their many subtypes. So within library, we have art and culture, books, databases, podcasts, popular press and blogs, research articles and papers, toolkits and field guides, and videos and media. Within directory, we have academic institutions, individuals, journals and periodicals, organizations, professional associations and projects and programs. Within events, we have events and meetings and webinars and virtual convenings. This is in-person and virtual events. Within professional opportunities, we have calls for submissions, education and training programs, fellowships, jobs, and scholarships. Within funding, we have public and private funding opportunities. And we'll be returning to the community bulletin board in just a moment. So by clicking into any of these, I can now browse and explore individual content uploads. So let's say I'm looking for individuals or organizations. I can navigate to the directory where I could explore organizational pages such as the blueprints here, or any of the individual pages we're seeing below. Or maybe I'm browsing research articles and papers in our library section. Here I could click in and explore, filter, and sort our content library as needed. Or perhaps I'm seeking a professional opportunity. In this case, I'd click into professional opportunities and see what's available. For instance, say I'm interested in calls for submission. I could either filter by the subtype here or browse our featured posts, wherein today's happens to include a call for submission. So through the Explore dropdown here, you'll also be able to explore the Community Bulletin Board, the first of these several social elements of the NRC I'd like to discuss today. So the Community Bulletin Board is where community members can share announcements, start discussions, and collaborate with community members. It's a way of leveraging the collective expertise of the Neuroarts Resource Center to find collaborators, identify research, and talk through new ideas. So you have to have a profile to contribute to the Community Bulletin Board, but you can still browse these discussions freely. I should add that these discussions are highly indexed, so that down the road a bit, once we've accrued a bit more data, users might browse these the same way one might browse anything else on the site, or a site like Reddit. So I'll click into one of these to kind of show you what these individual pages look like. Here you'll see the initial prompt or post here with the discussion that follows. So now returning to our all view, using our toolbar up here, let's take a look at all the content types in one place. So for all content types, we think of each respective internal content page as a sort of content card. So I'll click into a research article here to demonstrate this. You'll notice that on each of these content cards, we built out a format that includes a quick description and further details as necessary. Each category type, that's library, directory, etc., is unique, meaning that each content card includes slightly different fields and features that a user can populate when uploading content. For instance, this might be deadlines for funding opportunity, or an abstract, such as this one, for a research article. Each content type is highly flexible, and most include block editing, which allows for detailed customization if you require. And for each of these, we've made a point to include a robust access and associations panel. This allows for proper attribution or relational links to be added to a post. So here you're seeing the authors associated with this article, you're seeing any associated organizations, and you're seeing the journal in which it appeared. The idea here is to encourage users to make sure all their content is linked within this ecosystem. So some of you might be wondering about content moderation. Anyone, anywhere can upload anything Neuroarts related to the site. The one exception to this is organizations, which must be verified beforehand through our internal verification process. To address the need for content moderation, however, we've added a detailed notification system wherein someone can flag inappropriate content, or a user can request administrative access to a post, or an author can ensure their profile is linked to a certain article. You might see a few things grayed out here. These are accessible only to logged in users. So with this, let's turn to the site's offerings as a logged in user. So returning to our library page, you'll notice this Submit Content button up here. You are unable to submit content to the NRC unless you have an account. So let's click this to log on. If this is your first time, you must create an account. Once you create an account, the first thing you'll want to do is set up your profile or build out an organizational profile for any organizations you wish to list in the Resource Center. You'll also now be able to easily upload content through either your dashboard, accessible via My Profile, or via our Submit Content dropdown right here. So I'll quickly share the process for library submission here. The upload process consists of one page that is required. These are things like title, type, link, and description. One page of additional information that is not required but encouraged. These are things like date of publication, abstract, location, various tags, featured images, that kind of thing. And finally, the access and associations panel I mentioned before. Here you can add and link content administrators, authors, associated organizations, and associated journals and periodicals. Once you toggle published and click finish, your article is live. So returning to our home screen, you'll also notice a few additional changes once you have a profile. You'll see that here you can now personalize the sort of content that is served to you via your preferences sidebar. This uses the same filter system we explored before, but now impacts the content you see on your homepage. And as the site grows, we anticipate these preferences will be immensely useful and will actually be rolled into a customized email digest launching later this summer. So moving to our content library, you can now also save content to your collections area. By clicking save here, going to my profile, my saved items, now all your followers and any saved articles will appear here. And these can also be organized into custom folders as needed. But perhaps most importantly, within the directory, you now have the option to follow users and organizations on the Resource Center. By following users, you can see updates on their activity in the social feed, the final feature I'd like to discuss today. The social feed allows users to share and update NRC content. Is where you can view your followers and their recent activity and share Resource Center content directly to your community. If something catches your eye, you can like, save, or share, join the conversation, and connect with others. We encourage users to share to the feed as much as possible to ensure new content reaches the community and sparks engagement. Together with the community bulletin board, the social feed offers a dynamic and innovative way to connect with this flourishing field. So I think I'll stop here and turn to you all for your questions. But before I do, I'd like to say that with all these tools and resources at your fingertips, our goal is that the Neuroarts Resource Center becomes not just a platform, but a vibrant community hub driving collaboration, innovation, and impact in the neuroarts field. We're excited to see how you will use, shape, and expand this space together. Thank you, and I'd now be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thanks, Sam. Really, really thoughtful, amazing. And we do have a couple questions. I think one
Great.
of the most important things that you can do right now is kick the tires. Play in it. It's incredibly easy to use. I think you'll start to kind of get your groove with it. And it's really sort of amazing to see what other people are doing on the site. A couple questions that came in and that I want to try to address just easily. One of the first questions was, how is this different than Sound Health Network? And first of all, we love Sound Health Network. I think it's been one of the most extraordinary programs. And in many ways, the work that Kennedy Center, NIH, and NEA did in building the Sound Health Network and partnering with Neuroarts was that we're very collaborative, and we are really been interested in helping lift each other's work up. And so that's what we'll continue to do with the work that Sound Health has already been doing. And I think, the path forward there is being written. And so stay tuned. Sound Health Network will certainly be on the Resource Center and all of the folks that are involved with that work. And I think Sunil Iyengar is on the call. And it's really been a privilege to work with Sunil as he and Emmeline Edwards and others have really, Renee Fleming, have really done so much to lift up music and sound and really create a path for other art forms to really think about rigor and connectivity. There was another question about AI and data analyses, and great question. Also a question about LLM, and absolutely. We're already beginning to use some AI on the site, and that's going to grow. And I think the more features and benefits will be coming, and I'm going to ask you that question in a minute about what's coming next. I think our goal at this moment was to get the site launched, to work out any kinks, to really get people using it. This is a habit, right? Social media platforms are a habit. And so it's really important for us to be using it and to building that muscle. But this is something that's been built with you and for you. It is open access. The data is available for use to anyone that's interested. And over time, I think you'll be able to come here and do a literature review on a particular topic area, or find practitioners all over the world that are doing something that you're particularly interested in, or to be able to find programs or funding or even job listings and that are current and timely and really interesting. So AI and data science and ultimately sort of larger language systems are really going to be important for us. There was another question about universities and educational programs and whether or not we're listing graduate programs. Sam spent about a year populating the site with as much data that we could on different educational access. The Neuroarts Academic Network is also going to help expand that, but absolutely, where there are graduate programs or PhD programs in something that's in arts end, it'll be on here and you'll be able to search it.
Yeah,
Sam,
just to jump in on that one, if you go to professional opportunities, we have a very robust list already of the programs we scoped for the past several years.
Great. Another question that came in is, who is the point of contact for the community coalition? And the best point of contact there is Karen Alexander. And if somebody can put her email in the chat, that would be great. And we're actively working on that program now. Sam, do you want to talk a little bit? We have a question about what are some of the upcoming features that you're working on?
Sure. So, as you might imagine, the sky is the limit with a platform like this. But the immediate features we're working on are a more robust notifications network. So you'll get email notifications and little bell notifications within the platform itself when someone interacts with your work or follows you, that sort of thing. The next round is going to be sort of more social engagement features. So the big kind of marquee item there will be adding comments to the social feed. So we have a community bulletin board where you can have comment threads that can be very detailed, complicated, but we also want to have that sort of quick in the moment, quote unquote, ephemeral discussion on the social feed itself. So we'll be rolling that out probably by the end of next week. Beyond that, we're launching something we're really excited about is an editorial calendar, which includes interviews from people in the field, profiles from people in different organizations and labs in the field, and guest blog posts by other orgs and institutions. And ultimately, we'll be rolling out our NRC newsletter. So the first iteration of this will be a global newsletter that captures kind of new and notable things on the network. But pretty soon, I think like I mentioned, midsummer, we'll be rolling out custom digest emails. So the preferences you select for your research interests or maybe the sort of art you make, you'll get custom newsletters based on new additions to the network that reflect that. And that could be every 2 weeks, it could be monthly. So that's just a kind of brief menu of what we're working on right now.
So thanks, Sam. There's a question about how is this initiative implicating countries around the world? Most, if not all, of the institutions involved seem to be from the USA. Is it just Trump aligned? No. The answer to that question, it is not. It is nonpartisan, bipartisan, and global. And
Yes.
so we've worked really hard to bring on other countries' programs and organizations and institutions. And we need to continue to cultivate and build those communities. So that's something that will take some time, but it absolutely is not intended to be US centric in any way. And I think the arts are nonpartisan. And so we are building this out in that spirit. Sam, did you want to add to that?
No, I think you captured it. Yeah, this is absolutely a global network resource center. There are no limitations in location.
Another question was about the connections and collaborations with NOAA. 100 million%. NOAA is a fantastic organization. They're already on the site. They're sharing this with their members. We work very collaboratively. I think that's one of the great things about this field is that we work together. The Blueprint has another group in the infrastructure called Bright Eye Coalitions, where we have about 30 global organizations that have large membership groups, but diverse memberships that come together on a quarterly basis to really look at how we can support each other. And so that's been happening for the last year and a half, and we'll continue to do that. And NOAA is a really important partner there. There's a couple of questions about if you're a small charity, how do you register on the website? And Sam, do you want to take that?
Yeah, you would just register as an organization. So we set it up so that you must first register as an individual, so your name, who you are as a person individually, and then once you do that, you can create as many organizations as you'd like. There's a very quick verification process, but any and all organizations under the umbrella of Neuroarts are welcome here. So there's no restriction.
There is also a question about funding sources, asking if the NRC is funded at a federal level, and no, it is not. The Blueprint itself has never taken federal money. We have really worked in a philanthropy model and a donor model. And so we've had family foundations, we've had larger organizational foundations and individual donors support the work that we've done. And I think that's been incredibly vibrant, and a very pioneering maverick group of supporters have really helped to build this, along with the in-kind support from Aspen and from Johns Hopkins and the advisory boards and the people that have volunteered to help really beat the drum here. So it's so much been a collective group effort, and really, I think we'll continue with that model as well. I'm just looking to see other questions here. Let's see.
Seeing one about cost to use the site. There's no cost to use the site at all.
That's a good one. What if someone has an idea that they think would be a great feature? Who should they connect with?
Well, please reach out to me. Just hit the contact us button throughout the site, several different areas on the site, and there's a short form you fill out, and it'll go essentially directly to my inbox, and we can get the conversation started. But like Susan said, we built this in service of this community, so we don't have a monolithic set of features that are completely inflexible. We want to work with everyone using the site to make the best possible instrument for all of us. So send them my way, and we'll put them into the calendar.
And there's another question here, a couple questions. One is about cost, so you answered that. Is it possible to add video links rather than upload video content to profiles?
Yes, so that's a little in the weeds, but you can upload video files directly, but if you'd like to upload a video link, you can upload it via the links portion of your of the intake screen for your profile as an organization or individual. If you have any questions, just email me via the contact us button, and I can hop on a Zoom with you and sort it out.
And then another question, will the NRC enable access to peer-reviewed articles that are behind the paywall for logged in users, similar to systems that we've seen in the past? Do you want to talk that?
So not at this time, but we are working on it.
And that's by talking with the publishers of the journals and trying to figure out if we can get a limited access. And so we're working on that.
Yeah.
There's also a question about, will there be support for small organizations by bringing their voices to the table? 100%.
That's exactly what this is for. So
right.
please, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I think,
oh, go ahead. I just like to encourage everyone here to, 'cause watching the chat's very, very exciting because we built the community bulletin board to make sure everyone had a voice on this platform. We didn't want it to get lost in the sort of its use as a repository, which is great, but we really built it as a platform for sharing and collaborating. So please share, connect, use those features to do so. But yeah, absolutely, please.
Let's see, other questions. There's a lot of questions coming in.
Yes.
Do you fund PhD student research? The Blueprint does not fund anything directly except through the Neuroarts work that we do with the Renee Fleming Investigator Awards. But if you are looking for funding for a project, there are funders that are on the site that may be a good place for you. So it's really a great place to start to look to see if there's someone that's interested in your work.
Yeah, just one thing on that. You could either do that via looking at the funding section, or you can sort our directory by funders. So a couple different ways of finding the information.
And then there's some great questions here. Will there be opportunities for connection calls for members of the community to get together and collaborate? Absolutely. What we're calling those are affinity groups. And we're not quite at the stage yet where we're able to bring that feature online where people can come together to be able to just network with each other in a more visible way. But that is something that's coming. There's also a question about, can you tell us more about the events calendar and how the social media and about how to feed the social media platforms? Sam, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So like I said, using the community bulletin board is great for that. And then using the social feed allows you to share things you find on the NRC to your follower group. So kind of like any other social network, create a follower group, have people follow you, and share whatever you'd like with them as much as possible. And obviously the comments in the social feed, which are coming hopefully by the end of next week, will greatly aid in this sort of engagement process. And I'm sorry, the second question was about the events calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, it's formatted like an events calendar you'd see at sort of at a venue or concert hall or any other organization or conference. Where it's going to go from here, however, is really exciting. We're going to be rolling out. I'm seeing some other questions in the chat about location. So right now there is a way to mark your location and sort by location, but we'll be rolling out likely Google location services soon, where it's an automated sort of network that makes things quite easy. So you'll be able to sort groups, organizations, individuals, even conversations, and various different tagged items on the site by region and zip code, et cetera.
There's a question about how do individuals join. Sam, do you just want to revisit that?
Yeah, so go to neuroartsresourcecenter.com and click in the top right-hand corner, join. And you'll be able to, there's a very short intake process, and then you're on the site and you can flesh out your profile, add an organizational profile, upload content, or if you want to just build a profile to engage in the social elements, you can do that too.
We're also going to be adding a how-to video in the next week or two that just is a refresher reminder on different features that you can use kind of as a tutorial, and that'll be things that just are simple to do.
I should also mention too that under the About section of the Resource Center, the top item is the quick guide. So the quick guide is a very detailed sort of process-based breakdown of everything I've explained so far in this video and more. So if you need sort of a written version of this, prose version, that's where I would go.
Okay, so here we go. A couple of other things, couple questions. There's a question about they understand that the platform is free, but does it cost something to actually become a member of this community? The answer is no. There are no costs to be part of this community. The Resource Center was designed to be able to coalesce the community and to find a way for us to find each other simply and easily in a very dedicated space. And as I think we all know, there are lots of other organizations that have sort of very concentrated sectors, and that's great. But all those sectors can also come together. And what we wanted to do was lower the silos between sectors so that we could find each other. So like I'm interested in mental health and community development. I want to find the people that are doing public health work, or I'm interested in arts and learning and K-12. I want to find those people. Set and setting and neuroarchitecture, that has something to do with all the spaces that we work in. So the idea is to create a place where we can come together, and there's no cost at all. And we don't anticipating having a fee structure to be part of this community. I think it's really the capital here is human capital, to invest our time and energy to build something together. The long road here is sustainability for arts right? And so under this nest of Neuroarts, we think there's an opportunity to build the kinds of policy and programming that is a long game, and it will ultimately take time. There's a question here about PhDs only for American citizens. That will change as more universities and programs are available. And so, the programs that are available, there are several international PhD programs in arts and they may not be called Neuroarts, but there's creative arts therapy programs. There are PhD programs in public health. So there's a number of those kinds of offerings that are already available. I'm just trying to see. Oh, the global event. Yes. And so we're really excited about this. We mentioned that there are these 3 strategies that the blueprint is building. And next year, we're looking at the fall of 2026, and we will get a date out soon to sort of hold the date for that. But what we're really excited about is to bring all the advisory boards, all the different programs, people that are interested in this work as being part of this community to come together. And so we'll have a lot more to say soon, but it'll definitely be in the fall of next fall, so fall 26. There's a question about, have you considered creating a peer-reviewed journal for Neuroarts? So we have a fantastic scientific advisory board that Andres Viscontas is leading. And we've talked a lot about it. The first thing we're going to do, and this is also with the help of others, create this research agenda that really lays out all the different ways of knowing and the methodologies and the ways that we really do research in this space, so that we have a shared knowledge and common best practices. And that's something that we're putting energy into now, and we're hoping to have something ready this fall to be able to share with you. Our scientific advisory board has been really helpful in saying we need this kind of tool. And I will say that the Sound Health Initiative and the Sound Health Network and the work at the NIH and the NEA have been really helpful in already creating a toolkit for music that is a fabulous exemplar for that. And so that work is actively happening. There's so many journals that have arts in them right now, and there's a lot of opportunities to do things in public health, in psychology, in neuroscience, in cognitive neuroscience, in the humanities, and more, that right now it seems like getting this messaging into those existing dissemination channels makes some sense. But I think over time, we really should evaluate, and we should decide this together. Do we need a journal? And I think for now, we're trying to seed as many of these fields with this other weaving of the kinds of work that we're talking about. I think the Academic Education Network is going to be really helpful in thinking again about what are the best practices when you're trying to create this Uber space where lots of things can come into it. So that's a really exciting thing. It looks like Ruth Katz has just joined us, who is my co-director. And Ruth, do you want to come on and say hello? She may have some trouble. There we go. There she is. Hey, Ruth.
Hi, everybody.
We're just doing some Q&A and talking a bit about where we are and where we're going, and sort of thinking about what the future really looks like for this work. There's a question about, is the focus of the funding opportunities available on the NRC primarily to fund individuals to advance their research, or will there be listings for organizations to build capacity and participate in studies in the future? I would say both, and probably
Absolutely
more,
both and
because
more. Yes.
yeah, what's great about this is that any funder can make a call for proposal here for, and it can be in any different sector or for any different call. And we'll be actively working with the funding community to really beat that drum of bringing those opportunities here. Let's see, other questions. Let's see. Oh, do you share data with third parties? That's a question. I think over time, there will be more data, but at this point, we do not share data with third parties. Correct, Sam?
Correct. Yeah. The only thing that your data might be subject to is being search results might be indexed by Google, but beyond that, no, we are not working with any third parties.
I'm just going through. Oh, okay, this is a great question. Who do you expect this to be a resource for ultimately? An inward-facing artists, practitioners, organization network, or out-facing to clients, a client network, or both? I'd also add researchers here as well, and funders, and even media. So in the short term, we really see this very much as a field building professional site. But we've designed it so that, think about WebMD, for example. Anybody can go to WebMD and find information. And so over time, this resource, when it is more fully populated, could be something that others come to. Or one option is that we may build an app out of this that would allow easier access to the general public or to specific groups that are interested in specific areas. But I think right now, we are dedicated to holding this as a professional watering hole, virtual watering hole, where we can come together and we can really build the strength and there's going to be a lot of things that come out of this that we don't know today, right? Like things that we need, initiatives that we want to build on, increasing our messaging and funding bases. And so I think right now we see it as very much a field building space.
I might want to mention also that we designed the site also to be accessible and legible to a person who's not hyper enmeshed in this field too. So if you're learning about neuroarts, if you have an intuition about neuroarts or neuroaesthetics and sort of the promise that this field might hold, and you're looking for evidence or data that might support this intuition, this is the site that you would go to sort of explore, to intuitively walk around this field and learn about what's happening. So hopefully we've designed it in such a way where it'll be attractive to both sort of populations.
Let's see here. Are museum curators and educators involved? Yes, we have a number of museums that are organizational partners and curators and educators. And also I'm seeing a growing group of museum well-being practitioners. And we're also seeing those folks come here. And that's really important because, when you think about the healthcare sector, the education sector, the cultural arts sector, performing arts, museums, libraries, there's a place for all of these different communities here. And so the more we do lower those silos and we are able to communicate with each other, I think that's where the greatest learning is going to happen. I'm just looking for a couple more questions. We're only about 4 more minutes. Is there a place for funders to get engaged specifically outside of sharing specific grants? They can become organizations, and individuals at those organizations can also have profiles. So, and they can participate in the social media feed and also the community bulletin board, and can post articles and videos and, can very much be part of all of that work. Let's see. Ruth, did you want to add anything on the call today?
No, other than my congratulations again to Sam, who spent 2 years putting this thing together and
Thank you.
deserves all the credit. And sorry for having to tune in late, folks, but for all of you out there, thanks so much for joining us and for being part of the Neuroarts community. And as we move forward, we very much look forward to working with you. And please, please do take advantage of all that the Resource Center has to offer. We think it's terrific and hope you do too.
Well, that's great. And I'm noticing there's so many more really great questions. And as Sam mentioned, we will have a newsletter coming out shortly that will start to really be a constant every several weeks or so to let you know what's happening and bring you back into the community. We also have a frequently asked questions section that we update on a regular basis. And so we'll go through these questions and hopefully we'll pull out what we haven't addressed because I think there's a lot of really wonderful ideas. And Sam shared his email in the chat. And also feel free to reach out to Sam if you have questions or wanted to share something more. This is a work in progress. And as I said, Sam has built the bones, but you guys are the ones that are going to make this come to life. And so the more you're engaged, the more you share it with your friends and family and communities, the brighter this is going to be. And it's, as I said at the beginning, this is a very challenging time. And I think this is work that we can do together. And I think that's hope. I think that's really hopeful. And so we're really excited about it and a lot more to come. But I just want to say on behalf of the entire team and the volunteers and the advisory boards and all the folks that have really put their shoulder to this, thank you. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. And the chats are so extraordinary. It's just like the energy is contagious. And that's what I love about this community. We're excited to shape this space with you. It's built for us doing this, right? Ongoing communications and connections. And so we hope that you'll make it part of your daily social media check-in, and we'll continue to build this. And we'll come back to you with lots more information. As Sam said earlier, the recording will be shared to all of the registered attendees and more. So thank you so much for coming and for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And we look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.